I lost 14 kg in 14 weeks, going from 92 kg to 78 naturally. No fat burners, no steroids, all whilst being a present dad and a busy business owner. This one was very important for me. I was turning 30, I'd let myself go after becoming a father, and I just wanted to walk into my 30s feeling and looking the best I've ever had. I've dedicated the last 14 years to building my dream physique naturally and helped hundreds of men turn their bodies into something they've always dreamed about. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact 5-step system I used, the calorie deficit and the science behind it, the training program alongside the reasoning, the nutrition that never fails, how to structure steps and cardio, and then the final but most important step, the adaptation protocol. It's what keeps your progress coming when things start to slow down, and without it, most people plateau at week 4 and just give up. Step 1 is the foundation everything else is built on, and it's the calorie deficit. Because if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're simply not going to lose any body fat. No matter how hard you train, no matter how many steps you do, none of it matters without this foundation in place. But before I give you the numbers, I want to make sure you understand what a calorie deficit is and how your body handles calories. Because once you understand the mechanics of it, hitting your target every single day becomes a whole lot more straightforward. Your body burns calories in 4 different processes. The biggest one is your basal metabolic rate, which is basically what your body burns just to keep you alive. Your organs functioning, your heart beating, your body staying warm. And that accounts for roughly 70% of the calories you burn every single day. Then you've got your non-exercise movement. So things like walking, fidgeting, taking the stairs, moving around at work, that's another 15%, which is actually a massive lever that I'm going to come back to when we get to one of the steps. Exercise itself only makes up 5% of your daily calorie burn, which surprises a lot of people. And then digesting your food accounts for the remaining 10. The reason I'm breaking this down is because most guys think doing more cardio is how you lose fat. While it plays a role, it's nowhere near the most important factor. And once you understand that, you stop wasting your time and start focusing on what actually moves the needle. Now, the number you need to know is this. To lose 1 kg of body fat per week, you need to be in a 7,700 calorie deficit across the week, which works out at 1,100 calories per day. I know that sounds like a lot, but here's how I actually got there without feeling like I was starving. My maintenance calories, the amount I needed to eat to maintain my body weight, was 3,200 calories a day. So the first thing I did was drop my calories to 2,500, which straight away put me in a 700 calorie deficit just from eating less. Then I added 20 minutes of cardio after my training sessions 4 times a week, and I bumped my daily step count from 8,000 up to 10,000. Between those 2 things combined, that covered the rest of the deficit and made sure that I hit 7,700 calories across the week, which gave me my 1 kg of loss like clockwork every single week. And if you want all of this worked out for you automatically based on your own numbers, there's a free tracker in the description that does exactly that. Put in your body weight, your height, your age, your activity level, and it gives you your exact calorie deficit, your macro breakdown, and it tracks your weekly averages throughout the whole process. The link is in the description, so make sure you grab it below. And now I want to talk about the one thing that kills most people's progress, because I see this pattern constantly. Guys who are brilliant Monday to Friday, they're hitting their calories, they're training, they're doing everything right. And then the weekends arrive and they take 2 days off and they wonder why they're not making progress. That's not a diet. That's just suffering throughout the week for no reason. And if you want to genuinely transform how you look, you need to be consistent across all 14 weeks, not just the weekdays. The food is not going anywhere. It'll still be there when you finish your diet. Every party, every barbecue, every meal out, that little chocolate bar will still exist in 14 or 16 weeks time, no matter how long it takes you to finish your diet. It will still be there. So this sacrifice now is absolutely worth it for the results that you're building towards. Step number 2 is training. And I want to be upfront with you about how I approach this, because it goes against what a lot of people expect to hear. I'm a dad, I run an online coaching business, and I genuinely can't afford to live my life in the gym. So I only train 4 days per week on a push, pull, legs, and upper split, and 20 minutes of cardio after each session. And that was it. Now, here's the most important thing to understand about training during a fat loss phase. The goal of your training is not to burn calories. The goal is to preserve your muscle, because if you're losing weight but losing muscle alongside it, you're going to end up looking smaller rather than leaner. And that's not what we're after here. The way I train and the way I train all my clients is 2 working sets per exercise, taken to true failure with real intensity. And that's all you genuinely need. I've actually made an entire video breaking down exactly why 2 sets is all it takes and the science behind it. So I'll link that in the cards above. Go and watch that after this, because it'll completely change how you approach your training. Step number 3 is nutrition. And we've already done the heavy lifting here, because we know what our calorie target is. For me, that was 2,500 calories a day on average. And yours will be different depending on your body weight and how active you are. But the tracker in the description will work all this out for you automatically. Within those 2,500 calories, here's exactly how I split my macros. Protein comes first, and the number is super simple. 1 gram per pound of body weight. No more, no less. A lot of guys either go way too low on their protein and lose muscle, or they try and smash 250 grams a day and have no room for anything else. And neither extreme works. 1 gram per pound of body weight is the sweet spot. I weighed 200 pounds, so I was eating 200 grams of protein a day, and at 4 calories per gram, that's 800 calories of my 2,500 accounted for. Next up, we've got carbs. This is where I think a lot of people think completely backwards. They're so focused on cutting carbs, they end up tanking their performance in the gym and feeling terrible throughout their diet. Carbs are your fuel. They keep your muscles full. They power your sessions, and they make a 14-week diet actually manageable rather than miserable. So I went in as high as I could as possible for carbs. I was eating 355 grams of carbs per day, which at 4 calories per gram is another 1,340 calories. And then that left me with 360 calories for fats, which works out at 40 grams. And that's actually the perfect place to keep your fats, because they're important for hormone function, but they're also the most calorie dense macro. So you don't need a huge amount to get the benefit. So the full breakdown is 200 grams of protein, 335 grams of carbs, 40 grams of fat, and that's 2,500 calories exactly. Now, here's one thing I did on top of that, which made the real difference throughout the diet. I cycled my calories throughout the week. On training days, I ate 2,700 calories, and then on a rest day, I ate 2,300 calories. But the weekly average still came out at 2,500, so the deficit was maintained. The logic behind this is straightforward. On days you're training hard and going to failure, your body's going to utilize those extra calories far better than it will on a day where you're just walking around and resting. So it makes sense to front load the fuel where it's actually needed. The extra calories on training day went into carbs, so my muscles were full and I was performing in the gym right all the way until the end of the diet. One last thing on nutrition. Make the effort with your food, because if you're eating the same boring meals for 14 weeks, you're eventually going to crack. Throughout my diet, I was having Greek yogurt with fruit and dark chocolate, homemade burgers and chips, steak and chips, seasoned chicken, fried rice with different meats. Just because you're in a calorie deficit doesn't mean your food has to be boring. You just have to be smart about it. You've got to build your meals in a way that you'll love them. If you enjoy what you eat, you'll stick to the plan, and sticking to the plan is everything when you want to build your dream body. Step number 4 is steps. And this is genuinely one of the most underrated tools in the whole process. And most people overlook it completely, even though it's the biggest lever you can pull for fat loss. Going back to what I explained at the start about how your body burns calories, non-exercise movement accounts for 15% of your daily calorie burn, which if you're maintaining at 3,200 calories like me, is roughly 480 calories a day just from moving around. And 10,000 steps contributes anywhere between 300 and 600 of those calories, depending on your pace and your body weight, which is a significant contribution towards hitting that 7,700 calorie deficit weekly. The way I hit 10,000 steps was simple. I did 1 walk in the morning, 1 in the evening, and then everything else was just between my daily life. I'm sat at my desk all day running my business, so I'm not naturally accumulating as many steps as I can throughout the day, so I have to be deliberate about it. And those 2 walks gave me the structure to make sure I was hitting my daily step target consistently. And it's not complicated, it's just about being intentional. And with cardio, I've deliberately left it till last in this list because too many people treat cardio like it's the main event. when it comes to fat loss, and it isn't. Your calorie deficit, your training, and your steps all come before cardio in the terms of importance. And cardio is really just a tool to help you close any remaining gaps in your deficit. For me, that was 20 minutes on the bike after every session, 4 times a week. That's where I started, and I built it up and progressed as the diet went on. Step number 5 is the one that made the biggest difference to make sure that this diet worked for 14 straight weeks and I never stalled like most people do. And it's something I don't see any people talk about in real detail, which is the adaptation protocol. Here's what happens when you diet for more than a few weeks. Your body is so smart and it does not want to lose fat. Going back to when we were hunter-gatherers, body fat was a survival mechanism. So your body will eventually start to figure out what you're doing and it will begin to slow your metabolism down, increase your hunger, and hold on to every single calorie it can in order to protect itself. This is not a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's just biology. And the only way to beat it is to stay one step ahead of it. What I did throughout the 14 weeks was weigh myself every single day and calculate a weekly average, not just a daily number, because your weight fluctuates constantly based on your water intake, food volume, sleep, stress, and 100 other things. But the weekly average gives you a true picture of what's actually going on with your body. And as long as that weekly average is dropping by 1 kg, it doesn't change a single thing because the plan is working. There's no point touching something that's working. The moment the weekly average came in below 1 kg, that was the signal that my body had adapted and it was time to make an adjustment. And the adjustments were always the same. Reduce food by 100 calories, taken from carbs and fats, increase steps by 1,000, and increase cardio by 5 minutes. That's it. Nothing crazy, just a small, precise tweak that pushed the body back into a rate of progress that I needed. To give you a concrete example of how this played out, week 1, I was in 2,700 calories on training days, 2,300 on rest days, 10,000 steps and 20 minutes of cardio. And I hit 1 kg weekly average loss, so I didn't change anything. Week 3, my weekly average dropped to 0.8. That meant an adjustment was needed. Food came down to 2,600 on training days and 2,200 on rest days. Steps went up to 11,000, cardio went up to 25 minutes, and that got me back on track. Later on in the diet, when I couldn't keep adding time to my cardio sessions because of my schedule, I added a 5th cardio day instead. So rather than going up to 35 minutes times 4 per week, I kept the sessions at 30 and went 5 times a week with cardio. And that gave me the same increase in output without my sessions becoming unmanageable. And I just repeated that process week after week, responding to what the data was telling me rather than guessing. And that's how I went from 92 kg to 78 in over 14 weeks without a single plateau, finishing in the best shape of my life, looking exactly like how this 16-year-old me imagined when I first walked into the gym. And honestly, I don't think I could have fully achieved this transformation without a coach keeping me accountable. Weekly check-ins to make sure I was sticking to my calorie deficit, hitting my steps, doing my cardio, and training consistently. But more than that, having someone to take the emotion out of the process. Because when you're starving and things get hard, your head starts telling you to ease off. And that's exactly where most people fall apart. When you've got a coach you need to report to every single week, you stay on the plan. Everyone I've helped achieve these unbelievable results would not have done it without a coach. And that coach is me. If you're interested in working together, the console call link is in the description. I know that tracking all these numbers we spoke about today manually every single week sounds like a lot of effort. So I've built a tracker specifically for this process that takes care of all the work for you. You put in your body weight, your height, your age, and how active you are, and it works out your exact calorie target and macro breakdown based on your start point. Then it tracks your weekly average, so you always know whether you need to make an adjustment or stay on course. It'll guide you through 8 weeks and 8 kg of fat loss, and it's completely free. The link is in the description, so go off and download it. This is the exact system that took me from 92 kg to 78 in 14 weeks. You've got the plan, you've got the tools, now go do something with it. If you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comments. I read every single one and I reply to all of them. Peace and love. Let's get you shredded.